Welcome, dear friends, dear well-wishers, dear Bhaktas, Bhakti-yoga practitioners. Welcome to our Śrīmad Bhagavatam class. Today, we will discuss a very, very important topic. And this is a special verse from the 7th canto, which speaks about, it's a part of a prayer in which Prahlad Maharaj, little prince Prahlad, is praying that all envious people may be pacified. So I will just start now with the text, and I will also share the screen so that you can also see it. Okay, so you can see the screen. So this is Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, text number 9. And before I start reading this amazing sacred book, I will just offer my respects. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Svastyastu Vishvasya Kala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitodiya Manascha Bhadram Bhajatat Adokshaje Aveshyatam Nomatir Ahaituki. And I will just proceed with the translation and the purport. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti-yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The following verse describes a Vaishnava. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Just like a desired tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself, but for all living entities, the gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons, like his father, Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself. Rather, he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnava who always thinks of the welfare of the entire universe. Śrīmad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Dharma are meant for persons who are completely free of envy. Parama nirmatsaranam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Kala prasidatam. May all the envious persons be pacified. The material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manascha Bhadram Bhajatat Adokshaje. Therefore, we should pray to Lord Nrsingadeva to sit in our hearts. We should pray, Bahir Nisimho Hridaye Nisimha. Let Lord Nrisingadeva sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from Him. Even pure Nishkama devotees pray for some benediction as instructed by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka. Ayi nandatanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankaja stitaduli sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvayi. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. When Prahlad Maharaj chants Om Namo Bhagavati Narasimhaya, he prays for a benediction from the Lord. But because he is also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal sense gratification. The first desire expressed in his prayer is Svastyastu Vishvasya. Let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj thus requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. According to Chanakya Pandita, there are two kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake, and the other is the man like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad, but Prahlad Maharaj asked a benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was very envious of devotees, but Prahlad wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord and stop harassing the devotees. Kala prasidatam. The difficulty is that the kala, envious living entity, is rarely pacified. One kind of kala, the snake, can be pacified simply by mantras or by the action of a particular herb, mantraushadi vasha sarpa kalakena nivaryate. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that all envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. If the Krishna consciousness movement spreads all over the world, and if by the grace of Krishna everyone accepts it, the thinking of envious people will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays, Shivam mito diya. In material activities, everyone is envious of others. But in Krishna consciousness, no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle by being fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhajatat adokshaje. As indicated elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo, and as advised by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 1865, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakta. One should constantly think of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one's mind will certainly be cleansed. Chito Darpana Marjanam. Materialists always think of sense gratification, but Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds and they will stop thinking of sense gratification. If they think of Krishna always, everything will be all right. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in that way, the whole universe would be vacated because everyone would go back home, back to Godhead. However, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is impossible because the living entities are innumerable. If one set of living entities is actually delivered by the Krishna consciousness movement, another set will fill the entire universe. So this is an amazing, amazing verse and purport. So let me read again the translation. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti-yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchanga Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today, this is really amazing. Amazing verse and the commentary, and I would like to say a few words about it because I'm very, very inspired by this prayer of little Prince Prahlad. So first, actually, I would like to say just a little bit about the background story in which Prince Prahlad then offered this prayer. So Prince Prahlad was a little boy, little prince, who was born to a great demoniac king, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was extremely powerful personality. He was actually a very accomplished mystic yogi, and he had amazing mystic powers. And through these mystic powers, he was actually able to take charge of the entire universe. And he was doing everything. He was even able to control the weather. Everything was under his complete control. But because he was really a demon, all the residents on the planets in the universe were in great trouble. They were being exploited, they were being suppressed, they were being tortured, they were being killed. This is what happened during his reign. And his little son, Prince Prahlad, amazingly was completely different kind of a person. He was a great saintly person. Although only 5 years old, he was actually on the highest stage of the spiritual advancement. And he was a pure devotee of the Lord, absorbed in his love for the Lord. And so what happened, we can imagine when such two personalities are together, that something extraordinary will happen, and it really did. So first, Hiranyakashipu tried to kill his own son because of his being a pure devotee, but because he was unable to do so, because Prahlad was completely protected by the Supreme Lord at all times. At the end, Hiranyakashipu became really anxious and almost afraid of the power of his little son. And at the end, of course, Lord Nrisingadev has appeared. Lord Nrisingadev appeared just to protect Prahlad, and he killed Hiranyakashipu, the great demon. And after Hiranyakashipu was killed, Lord Nrisingadev was still very angry. And he looked very ferocious because he was in his form, very, very special form of a half lion and half a human being. Nobody dared to approach him. Nobody dared to approach him. So at the end, the great leaders of the universe, with Lord Brahma, the topmost living being in the entire universe, they actually pushed ahead little Prince Prahlad to go to Lord Nrisingadev and to appease him, to somehow pacify his anger. And little Prince Prahlad, he, of course, he stepped forward, completely fearless. He was not afraid of Lord Nrisingadev. He knew that Lord Nrisingadev is his beloved Lord, just in another form, and that he came to protect him. So he stepped ahead and he started offering prayers. And of course, Lord Nrisingadev, he was very kind to him. He took him on his lap, and he was actually willing to fulfill any desire that Prahlad would have. And we can see in these prayers how completely selfless Prahlad was. He was not thinking about his own welfare. He was thinking about the welfare of the entire universe, of all the living entities. And he knew very well that all misfortune actually comes when there is that envy in the human society or in any other society. When there is envy, when there are envious personalities, then, and if such personalities actually come to the top leadership positions, then there is great misfortune for everyone. But he actually desired welfare even for such personalities. And he actually gives, in this particular text, he actually gives the solution. Little Prince Prahlad, a great spiritual teacher, he actually gives the solution, and he says that let all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti-yoga. He actually claims that it is the practice, this spiritual practice of bhakti-yoga, is this miraculous cure, which can actually turn an envious person into a peaceful living being who actually thinks of the welfare of others. So how is this possible? Let's try, and I will try to explain this. So first, I would like to quote actually one text also from Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes what is the situation right now. Because for us, actually, it's very important to bring these philosophical points into our time and age, into a present day society. So the verse goes like that. Prayanalpayusak sabya kaloasmin yugi janaha mandasumanda mataya mandabhagya yupadritaha. So this verse actually explains the nature of people in this age. So in this age, which is called Kali, people are actually short-lived. So we think actually that we can live a very long time, but actually in previous ages, people had much, much longer lives than we have now. If anybody can live now 100 years, he is considered, really extremely successful in living a long life. But most of the people we can see are dying much, much younger. And especially in the past few years, we can see that many, many younger people are dying. Like we can see on the internet, if you type died suddenly, there are so many people, young people, even children who are dying very, very young. And many times suddenly without any apparent reason, or at least the doctors cannot decide what was the real reason for that death. But it actually confirms what it's written in Srimad Bhagavatam, that people in this age are short-lived. Okay, so what is the next? The next is they are short-lived, then people are misfortunate. There and we see what is happening. So much difficulty and trouble is happening in the world. People are also lazy. And where is this laziness? The laziness is can be in different levels, can be also from the material point of view. People just losing hope, people just becoming despondent, people becoming too frustrated, too depressed, people becoming suicidal, which is all happening right now. And on the other side, also, people are lazy from the point of view of spiritual life. Mostly, the majority of people are not so spiritually inclined. They would much rather listen to some news on TV or read newspaper than engage in hearing or reading spiritual literature like Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the next point is people are misguided. And this is especially relevant in the present time because we can see there are so many scandals actually being right now when so many people are being exposed for really trying to misinform the public about so many things. And then the next thing is also that people are above all always disturbed. So this is one of our greatest misfortune, that our minds are so disturbed. Our minds are so distracted. These electronic gadgets, the mobile phones, the iPhones, the computers, everything what we have is just taking our mind, it's overpowering our minds. We are literally losing our minds due to all these electronic gadgets. And the result is that people are completely distracted. Our minds are so distracted at all times. Our minds are in so many different places, and it is so difficult to even focus on anything properly. So this is really the situation in which we live. And if we are speaking about the envy and the envious people and the misfortune, we can also see there are so many very on very high positions, leadership positions in so many countries in the world. There are personalities who are actually extremely envious of their own people. What has been happening in the past few years just uncovered so much corruption of the leadership people in this world. If we go now towards the solution that Prahlad Maharaj is giving, the solution that he is giving is, he is saying that by practicing the bhakti-yoga, the hearts of the people will be transformed. So this envy, which is in the hearts, which is also in our hearts, because it is not that we can just, just point at others. Oh, this person is envious. This person is evil. This person is just causing me harm. It is also very important that we look into our own hearts and be aware of the envy that resides there. How does Bhakti Yoga actually transform the heart? So it is very important that we hear and read this literature. Tatvat visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhadavatyapi namanyanantasya yatonkitani yat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. So this verse actually means that literature, which is full of the descriptions of the name, form, qualities, activities, and the pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a completely different kind of literature than any other mundane literature. Because these descriptions, these words in this literature have the power to create the revolution in the impious lives of these world's misguided civilization. So this is the real potency, the real power of this literature. The literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, the literature like Bhagavad Gita, Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction. If I just name the few most important Vedic scriptures which have been given to us and which have been translated in all the languages practically of the world by now. So we all have access to this literature, and this literature has amazing spiritual potency, amazing spiritual potency. Shinvatah svakatah Krishna punyashrava nakirtana yadrantasyo yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. So when one reads this literature or hears it with attention, what happens? Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma or Super Soul in the heart of a truthful devotee or in the heart of a listener of this literature, he, the Paramatma or the Super Soul in the heart, he cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of a person who listens with an open heart, with the attention, with the sincerity. So this is what happens. This literature is so powerful, it's so potent that actually just by giving the oral reception, just by hearing, just by reading, the heart becomes transformed. Our heart becomes transformed. And it happens in a mystical way. It happens by the potency of the Super Soul or Paramatma. And who is the Super Soul or Paramatma? Super Soul or Paramatma is the localized aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who resides in the heart of every living being. He is there just next to us. And who are we? We are tiny little soul, tiny little spiritual entity who is also residing in the heart of this body which we preoccupy. So when this happens, when this desire for material enjoyment, for the material sense gratification, it's becomes purified and becomes removed from the heart, then also envy goes away. Because the whole rat race in this world is the great competition to satisfy one's own senses, to have a greater and better sense gratification for this material body that we have. And once a person actually acquires this real knowledge and has this change of heart, he actually realizes something very, very important. Tasyaiva heto prayate takovito nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada talabhyate dukkayat anvata talabhyate dukkavat anyatak sukham kalena sarvatra gabira ramhasa. So he discovers a person who is actually intelligent and little philosophically inclined, and he reads these books. So this is especially for all those who are intelligent and philosophically inclined, who read these books, who read this literature. They actually come to the conclusion that there is no need to endeavor to reach a goal by trying to achieve the highest position, so high, up to the highest planet in this universe, which is called Brahmaloka, or to go all the way down to the lowest planet in this universe, which is called Patalaloka. There is no need to strive for this. Why not? Because the happiness in this world, the happiness of sense gratification, can be obtained without any endeavor, just on its own. In the same way as we obtain misery also, just on its own accord. It just comes to us through our karma. So happiness, material distress, they both come to us through our past karma. So they will come regardless of whether we endeavor or not endeavor. But now the real question is, what is really that goal that we should endeavor for? What is really that goal that a person who is hearing, who is reading this literature, comes to realize is the real goal of life? What is the real goal of life? The real goal of life is actually described in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. So this verse is actually giving the key. And it is also mentioned in the purport that I was reading today. So the one here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, it's actually inviting everyone. It's calling everyone. And he's saying, think of me. Always think of me. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your respects to me. And in this way, you will come back to me. So this really is the goal. This really is the goal of life. The goal of life is to revive our lost relationship with the most lovable personality in the entire existence, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, to think of him, worship him, serve him, respect him, and love him, to awaken this love for him, and then to return back to him, to our real home in the spiritual sky. So this is the real goal. And this is what we discover by practicing bhakti-yoga, by reading this literature, by studying this literature, by listening to these topics, which are also called Krishna Katha. So I will stop here, and I invite everyone who is watching this video, if you have any additional questions or comments, please feel free and comment below, and I'll be very happy to engage in some more discussion with you.